get some of that good Snoop weed?
I've smoked with Unc before, yeah.
Yeah.
That clip showed Lauren admitting she was tight with Snoop, and at first everyone brushed it off as a regular friendship, nothing strange at all. But now this new footage of Snoop and Lauren together has people locked in, whispering nonstop, wondering if there's a deeper link between them, maybe even hinting at some folks' belief online that she somehow played a part in setting him up. Even though none of that has been proven, let's break this down because the streets are talking. One short clip of Snoop and Lauren London standing side by side was enough to shake the whole hip-hop world. This wasn't Snoop doing a cool uncle bit or smiling for a quick camera moment. This was footage with him next to Lauren London, the longtime partner of Nipsey Hussle in the heavy aftermath of his passing, and that alone hit different. Lauren isn't just another person in Nipsey's circle, she is the circle. From her heartbreaking tribute at the Staples Center to her powerful words at the BET Awards, she became the voice, the symbol, the face of the loss everyone felt. Anyone standing next to her wasn't just next to Lauren, they were standing next to the entire legacy Nipsey left behind. And that gave her presence a whole different weight. After Nipsey's death, Lauren didn't just grieve, she became the public guardian of his memory.
Yeah, but you don't know till it's at your front door. I always say the front row at the funeral is different. You know, when you have to sit on, like, you know, I've been at a lot of funerals.
I bet.
I've never sat front row at one. That's different.
What does that do to you?
Shift your perspective on life. You know what I mean? Make you see not only that it's life short, but that it's a gift. You know, and because everyone's time is so different.
The way she spoke about him turned her into the living piece of his legacy. Brands put her front and center in campaigns celebrating his life. Award shows passed her the mic. Documentaries leaned on her to carry the message. She became the doorway through which people understood Nipsey's story, whether she wanted that or not. She didn't choose the spotlight. The culture placed it on her shoulders. Folks needed to hear from her, see her, and feel Nipsey through her, and that transformed her into more than a partner. It turned her into a major piece on the board. Anyone who stood next to Lauren stood next to Nipsey's memory, and that right there is why the clip caused such a loud uproar, because proximity to her meant proximity to a legacy people are still fighting over today. So when people saw Snoop in that frame, a lot of viewers didn't see a harmless moment. They saw strategy, whether true or not. And to understand the way people reacted, you gotta rewind to the moment Nipsey was taken. When those shots went off outside the Marathon store, Los Angeles didn't just lose a rapper. They lost a man building businesses, empowering the neighborhood, and holding the block down even as he rose above it. When someone becomes bigger than their neighborhood, things get complicated fast. Admiration mixes with jealousy, loyalty gets tangled with betrayal, and Nipsey's passing made all of that spill out into the open. In the days after, Nipsey's brother Black Sam stepped up as protector. He wasn't just mourning, he was making sure Nipsey's empire stayed under the family's control, warning that anyone disrespecting Nipsey's name would have consequences.
That disrespect, bro, you in their presence, you better smack. In their presence, ain't nobody disrespected, bro.
These weren't empty statements. They were loud, clear signals. Sam knew opportunists would show up. He knew people would try to use Nipsey's name, and he wasn't letting the empire become a place for anyone to take advantage. But this is where things got complicated, because Nipsey's empire wasn't only built on paperwork, it was built on relationships, and those can break quick under pressure. Even people close to Nipsey started having issues. Brick Baby openly admitted he and Black Sam had their own clash after Nipsey's passing, and the whole problem came down to loyalty.
It basically was like, you rocking with him? Like, you rocking with him? I'm rocking with my brother.
That's what Nipsey's loss did. It forced people to choose sides and question every connection. Grief got mixed with suspicion, and suddenly every alliance felt shaky. Then Charleston White came out with a wild claim that shook the internet. He said the truth nobody wanted to speak out loud, that Nipsey wasn't taken down by one person, but by jealousy from people in his own set.
All the big homies in the set was jealous of Nip, because all the young Nip. Nip got bigger than the program, so Nip got clipped because Nip.
This wasn't proven, but the shock of that statement made people rethink everything. And if that idea holds any weight even as just speculation, it suggests Nipsey's empire faced danger inside and out, and that's when the industry stepped in. While the family tried to protect everything and the streets dealt with tension, the music industry saw a moment to move. Nipsey figured out a formula: own your masters, own your brand, own your block. And that made him powerful in an industry not used to artists having that level of control. Suge Knight, speaking from prison, added even more heat when he claimed Puffy destabilized Nipsey's circle by introducing them to harder substances. something he suggested could weaken the movement, not just be about partying.
Puffy the one got these dudes on hardcore drugs. He was introducing these guys to different type of level of drugs.
And then he made another claim about Snoop, saying Snoop was operating behind the scenes and even tried to bail out Keith B, who was connected to the Tupac story because Keith was talking too much.
I said, look, I don't have nothing to do with none of that, and I'm not leaving prison to go to nobody county jail. To the point they were saying, well, you can't leave and sacrifice a little bit in the county jail to stop that black man from getting life? Hell no.
Again, these were claims, not facts, but they had the internet buzzing. Just weeks after Nipsey passed, the whole city felt tense. The Marathon store became sacred ground, but also ground full of questions. Who had the right to speak for Nipsey? Who was allowed to represent him? Who was honoring his name? And who was being accused online of trying to use it for attention? Every day, the whispers turned louder. People Nipsey knew for years were suddenly getting accused of exploiting his name. Social media became a battlefield. Someone would pose by a mural and instantly be told they were chasing shine. Someone else would say they were like family and immediately be labeled a pretender. The chaos was real, and it didn't happen by accident. It was the fallout of a huge loss creating a power vacuum. When you put all of these pieces together, it's easy to understand why folks are reacting the way they are. They expect Lauren to protect Nipsey's legacy carefully because the culture placed that role on her. She became the torch holder, and when people saw Snoop standing too close, they felt like he was trying to take that torch, even though none of this is proven and a lot of it is just online speculation. Some people say Snoop wants something tied to Nipsey's legacy and that he's willing to position himself in ways that benefit him, while others think it's nothing more than Snoop paying respect. But perception is powerful, and perception started shifting fast. To some, Snoop looked like he was honoring a friend. To others, he looked like he was making strategic moves. Either way, that one frame created the same outcome. More questions, more tension, and more eyes watching every move. The footage turned into a symbol of something way bigger than a quick clip. It became a sign of the ongoing fight over who really carries Nipsey's legacy. And trust, there was a legacy worth fighting over. When folks online bring up what Chuch claimed about Snoop, they start suggesting Nipsey wasn't just taken out by one person, but weakened over time by pressures way bigger than the neighborhood itself, even though none of this is proven. And who did Chuch accuse of playing both sides? Snoop Dogg? That's why the footage hit so hard for so many people. It wasn't just the literal moment on camera, it was everything it represented. To some of Nipsey's supporters, it looked like outsiders stepping into street matters. It looked like power shifting toward the industry. It looked like a fresh opening for people waiting to slide in. And for fans watching from afar, it felt like confirmation of every rumor they've been whispering since 2019. And honestly, it's no surprise fans stay suspicious, because everyone already knows the kind of conversations that pop up whenever Snoop's name gets mentioned in these stories. People online always bring up Snoop's complicated history with loyalty. They go straight to the 1996 loss of Tupac Shakur, one of the most legendary artists to ever hit a stage. Since that night in Las Vegas, the story has been retold thousands of times. But one thing keeps coming back: the idea that people close to Pac might not have been as solid as they looked, and Snoop's name always ends up floating in the background of those debates. When Pac was alive, Snoop was seen as a brother in arms. They recorded together, moved around together, and hit stages side by side. But online commenters point out something else. Behind the scenes, Snoop was getting close to people Pac didn't rock with. For example, Big Dre, someone who was allegedly in the same car as Keith D the night Pac was killed. Folks say anybody loyal to Pac would have kept distance from that circle. But Snoop didn't. He ended up working with Big Dre on a mixtape after Pac passed, which sparked even more questions from fans.
That night, when you look at it, Dad said that, hey, we weren't going. Snoop was on, death row, basically Tupac and everything above, and something gonna happen.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Warren G says that Snoop was at his house watching the fight, and he had the walkie-talkie, the radio.
By the time Pac died, Snoop and Pac had already been going through tension. But after the loss, Snoop became one of the loudest public mourners. Fans say it looked like he aligned himself with the tragedy while also staying connected with people linked to the story, reshaping his image in the process. Think about it. Your close friend is gone, suspects are still moving around freely, and instead of stepping back, you're seen making music with people tied to the situation. Many fans felt like that wasn't loyalty at all. It looked like the opposite. And in their eyes, Snoop's questionable moments didn't end there. Over the years, he's been accused of embellishing Pac stories, sometimes stretching the truth, other times telling stories that people say never happened. One example, Snoop once said Tupac introduced him to blunts. Sounds cool, but the timeline doesn't match. Cameron Diaz once said she bought weed from Snoop back in high school, meaning Snoop was already deep into that lifestyle long before Pac arrived. So fans ask, why make things up? Why build a deeper story after someone's gone? People online say the answer is simple. Image and legacy. Snoop knows the public loves the idea of him being part of Pac's inner circle, so rewriting history makes him look closer to Pac than he actually was. Even members of Pac's own team called him out. Napoleon from the Outlaws said, "That's a false narrative. Pac wasn't disliked in prison. He was respected." According to him, Snoop simply made that claim up. Even Nas got pulled into one of Snoop's stories. Snoop once said Pac confronted Nas at the 1996 VMAs and claimed Nas pulled up with 100 shooters. But Napoleon, who was actually there, said it never happened like that. He said Pac and Nas talked calmly and handled the situation with respect. Nas himself later confirmed Snoop's version wasn't real. So once again, the pattern shows up. Create new legends after someone passes, position yourself as their closest friend, and distract from the fact that the relationship was way more complicated when they were alive. And then there's Biggie. After Pac's death, Snoop painted himself as someone who had a strong bond with Biggie, sharing stories of emotional talks and peaceful moments between them. But Gene Deal, Diddy's former bodyguard, questioned all that.
But yet still, Big came out to California, and you don't see not one picture of him and Snoop together. You don't see not one place where they smoked a blunt together. Both of them like to smoke. We was in the studio with Bone Thugs and Harmony. Snoop never came over there. So you tell me, was they really that cool? Or it was just a facade that was put up?
He asked why, if Snoop and Biggie were supposedly tight, they never hung out in LA when Biggie was there. But somehow Snoop claimed he saw Biggie in Atlanta after Pac's passing. Gene Deal said the story didn't add up, putting more doubt on Snoop's version of events. Which brings us right back to Nipsey Hussle. Because once you see the pattern, everything starts to look familiar.
It's up, man. I just want to send prayers out to Nipsey Hussle and his family, to Lauren London and her family. This is up, man.
Nipsey passes, and Snoop instantly steps in with deep emotion, calling Nipsey my dear brother and a warrior, then dropping tribute tracks. Fans grieving hard ate it up because they wanted comfort and unity. But when people stepped back and looked closer, cracks began to appear in the picture. Snoop did warn Nipsey about dangers in the industry, yes, but he was also seen hanging around Big U, someone Nipsey reportedly had conflicts with years before. Nipsey had even put out a diss track aimed at Big U, making it clear he didn't want to be controlled or pressured. Online rumors, not proven facts, claimed Nipsey felt Big U was trying to shake him down and that he stopped dealing with that energy. Later on, after Nipsey was gone, fans noticed Snoop still spending time around Big U, which made the situation feel even more complicated. So people started asking hard questions. And that's why the footage of Snoop and Lauren didn't land like a simple moment. It landed like a clue in a long story fans have been trying to piece together for years. To some, it looked innocent. To others, it looked strategic. And once again, Snoop found himself right in the center of conversations about loyalty, legacy, and what really goes on behind the scenes. So once again, people online say the same story is repeating itself. Just like with Tupac, just like with Biggie, the pattern folks keep talking about is this. When the legend is alive, Snoop is seen hanging around people they weren't cool with, and when the legend is gone, Snoop steps forward as the grieving brother, placing himself right in the middle of the narrative. This is why some fans say Nipsey's passing never felt like a simple random moment. It felt bigger, heavier, full of layers that still haven't been fully unpacked. Eric Holder may have been the one who pulled the trigger, but people online point out that he wasn't the mastermind behind anything. They speculate about larger forces, hidden agendas, people with power who didn't want Nipsey's blueprint to succeed. And now, with all these leaked clips floating around, some online voices claim Snoop is confirming old street whispers. They say Lauren London wasn't just caught between sides. Some people online even speculate she might have been closer to certain circles than the public ever knew, though none of this is confirmed. Toward the end of Nipsey's life, he started stepping away from certain industry crowds, refusing to play into pressure or extortion. Fans say if Nipsey knew someone beside him had ties to the same forces he was trying to avoid, maybe he would have moved differently. And if there's one thing people keep pointing out about Snoop, it's that he always knows how to survive moments like this and come out untouched. When Nipsey Hussle was taken on March 31st, 2019, it wasn't just another headline. It felt like the whole world shook. It felt like everything from music to culture to community got hit with the same shock at the same time. For so many people, Nipsey wasn't just a rapper they listened to in the car. He was a sign of hope, real hope. He showed that someone from the block could rise up, stay rooted, build businesses, and keep their soul intact at the same time. Fans didn't love him only because of his tracks. They loved him because he lived the message he rapped about. He didn't just talk about ownership, he owned his masters. He didn't just preach about reinvesting into the neighborhood. He opened businesses in Crenshaw and hired folks everyone else ignored. And he didn't just rhyme about loyalty, he stayed in his community even after he had every reason to leave. So when news broke that Nipsey had been taken right in front of his own Marathon store, a place that symbolized everything he fought for, the reaction was instant heartbreak. Los Angeles poured into the streets. Crowds formed outside the Marathon, dropping flowers, candles, handwritten notes, and murals. People hugged strangers because they all felt the same pain. It was like losing a family member. And in a way they had. Nipsey was the voice of South Central, but his reach stretched across the whole world. Murals popped up everywhere, not just in LA, but in Houston, New York, Chicago, and even overseas in places like London and Lagos. Every wall carried the same message: the marathon continues. Social media exploded with tributes, memories, hashtags, and emotional posts. For weeks, it felt like the entire culture hit pause to grieve. Fans weren't just mourning Nipsey, they were mourning what he represented. He was the blueprint for a different future. He showed you could stay independent, build your own lane, and still win without losing your soul. His passing left people asking a painful question. If someone like Nipsey could be taken, what hope was left for anyone trying to rise the right way? Nipsey's death didn't just break fans, it broke artists who saw him as a mentor. Younger rappers looked at Nipsey as a big brother, a guiding light. Roddy Ricch said Nipsey's support helped him step into the mainstream. Nipsey gave him advice, co-signed his talent, and pushed him to dream bigger. Losing Nipsey wasn't losing a collaborator, it was losing someone who lit the path forward. YG, one of Nipsey's closest brothers in music, broke down in public after the news. He said he didn't just lose a partner, he lost a real brother. Their track Last Time That I Checked had become an anthem, but their bond went deeper than music. They both wanted to reshape the streets they grew up in. YG said Nipsey made him think bigger, build differently, aim for something that lasts. And with Nipsey gone, YG admitted a part of his own vision felt like it disappeared too. Even legends like Kendrick Lamar and Jay-Z stepped forward to honor Nipsey's impact. Kendrick, known for his own conscious work, called Nipsey someone who represented the heart of Los Angeles. Gritty, independent, visionary. Jay-Z went even further. He quietly set up a trust to support Nipsey's children, ensuring they were protected and that Nipsey's legacy lived on in a real way. That move alone showed just how deeply respected Nipsey was at the highest levels of hip-hop and business. Nipsey's influence reached athletes, actors, leaders, every corner of culture. LeBron James called him an inspiration, and even Barack Obama sent a letter to Nipsey's memorial, praising him for uplifting his community and proving what leadership from the ground up really looks like. That's how powerful Nipsey's presence was. He wasn't just a rapper, he was a real leader who crossed lines, cultures, and generations. And the saddest part of everything is this: Nipsey was only getting started. His album Victory Lap finally pushed him into Grammy territory, showing the world he could win on his own terms with his own rules, his own blueprint. But Victory Lap was just the warm-up to a bigger vision Nipsey was building behind the scenes. He wasn't out buying fancy houses in Beverly Hills. He was buying the exact blocks he grew up on in South Central. Blocks where he planned to create safe spaces, jobs, and real opportunities for people the world always ignored. He was investing in tech, pushing STEM programs, and setting up moves that would outlive any single record he ever made. Nipsey didn't want to stay in the box of a rapper. He wanted to be a mogul, a shot caller, someone who shifted the power in hip-hop back to the artists instead of the corporations. Other rappers didn't see him as competition. They saw him as a leader clearing the road so the next generation could chase ownership and independence too. With Nipsey alive, the West Coast didn't just have another star, they had a visionary ready to reshape the whole industry. But the moment he was taken, all that momentum got cut short. The marathon brand still stands and his message still echoes everywhere, but the full scale of what Nipsey could have built was snatched away the moment those shots went off outside his store. That's why his death hit people so deeply. It wasn't just losing a man, it was losing a future. Fans saw him as hope. Artists saw him as a blueprint. Community saw him as proof that someone could rise from struggle and lift everyone else up too. And when that possibility disappeared, a lot of people felt like the system had struck again. Another visionary gone right before he changed the game for real. But if there's one thing Nipsey always preached, it's that the marathon continues. And after his passing, those words turned into a movement. Murals, tattoos, songs, marches, social media tributes. People all over the world stepped up to keep Nipsey's vision alive. Still, no tribute can erase the hurt of what was taken. Nipsey wasn't just another artist. He was a builder, a teacher, a father, a businessman, and a voice that pushed people to grow. And losing him felt like a cultural robbery, something people still struggle to make sense of. But here's the twist that shook fans the hardest. As people mourned and artists promised to carry Nipsey's message forward, new whispers started spreading online. Whispers saying maybe this wasn't just some random moment of violence, maybe Eric Holder wasn't acting alone, maybe, as some online voices claim, people who should have protected Nipsey were too close to the wrong circles. That's why fans today aren't just heartbroken, they're fired up. Fired up at speculation that someone with major influence might have pulled strings from behind the curtain. Fired up at rumors saying Lauren London, the woman who stood on stage crying for Nipsey, might have been closer to industry power players than the public realized, even though none of this is proven. Fired up at Snoop Dogg, who fans call Nipsey's big bro, while also questioning why he's always in the middle of these tragedies with a speech ready, but years of confusing stories behind him. Grief turned into suspicion. Suspicion turned into outrage. Outrage turned into a demand for answers. Fans aren't satisfied with the simple explanation anymore. They see a bigger pattern. They think Nipsey wasn't just harmed by one man. They think he was silenced by a system full of greed, pressure, and manipulation, even though none of these theories have been confirmed. And when you start connecting the dots, people talk about online, the footage of Snoop and Lauren looking too close, the rumors claiming Lauren had ties to industry circles, Snoop's long history of complicated loyalty stories with Pac and Biggie, it becomes easier to see why fans believe Nipsey's passing wasn't the end of the marathon. It was the start of a darker race, because what fans lost wasn't just Nipsey, it was the future he was building for everybody around him. And the hardest part is facing the idea that his future might not have been stolen by strangers, but by people standing closer than anyone ever imagined. Thank you for watching. If you vibed with this breakdown, hit that like button, drop a comment, share this video with your people, and don't forget to subscribe for more content just like this. Your support keeps the marathon going.